Meghan Markle crashed Valentino Garavani's funeral in Rome uninvited, with entourage and big camera crew to film for her image rehab. Security booted her fast. No respect for the dead, just her brand. Utterly classless.
Everyone's talking about how Meghan Markle didn't get an invite to the private funeral in Rome. That, my friends, is the wrong story. The real story is that her private outreach became public, and that only happens when the room wants you exposed and not included, which is bad news for Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle is in California with her wanting to be in the UK husband, trying to get back to the UK. But what is so alarming to me is how Meghan continues to want to create these ripples in these other areas and parts of the world as she did a few days ago.
It is a lot of fun to see so much of the royal family and in such a strategic way to where we're learning a little bit more about them, but really their mission is to get these important causes out there.
We had to be creative, but today you click your fingers and you've got all these platforms beating a path to the doorway of Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace saying, yeah, we'll make it.
I remember going to the press conference when the restoration of the castle was finished, and it was announced that it had been done within the budget, within the time. The press was so disappointed.
This ripple effect happens in a lot of areas in Hollywood, people who are famous.
They have no idea where this came from. And as I told you and your producers...
I bet it came from Meghan's team. I bet you anything it came from Meghan's team. Come on.
Absolutely.
Hard to tell you why I cannot stand Meghan Markle so much. After all, there are a lot of know-nothing, attention-seeking former actresses in this world. Part of it is because I do love the UK so much, and I think we effectively exported our worst cultural asset to hurt their royal family. And the other part of it, though, is the way that the media has always lapped up her obviously false claims and fed into her delusions of grandeur, which culminated in her and her husband, Prince Harry.
While Prince Harry was inside a London courtroom, visibly emotional and struggling to keep it together, the atmosphere was tense. During his testimony in a privacy case involving major British tabloids, the judge reportedly had to step in more than once, reminding him to stay focused and not argue back while giving evidence. The moment underscored just how intense and personal the proceedings had become. At the same time, news broke that legendary fashion designer Valentino had passed away at the age of 93 at his home in Rome.
Meghan Markle, she went to Paris to attend the Balenciaga fashion show. She took her entire team. She took Daniel, the hair and makeup artist. She took Marcus Anderson. Now, Marcus Anderson is this interesting character, right? He's considered the second most important man in Meghan Markle's life. He's apparently the head of membership at Soho House, and he's someone she's been friends with since before she met Harry, right? You know, she used to hang out with Harry at Soho House. So Marcus Anderson, I don't know if he's the best influence on her. When I look at Meghan Markle in these videos and pictures from Paris, she seems kind of drugged out. She seems kind of faded, a little bit like this and that. I don't know if she's jet lagged.
Known worldwide for defining elegance and glamour, Valentino built a legacy dressing some of the most influential women on the planet. Tributes poured in as thousands prepared to attend public viewings honoring his extraordinary impact on fashion history. According to multiple reports, Meghan Markle was quick to react as the news spread. Rather than quietly observing from afar, sources allege she actively sought inclusion in the upcoming funeral events scheduled in Rome. The ceremony, set at the historic Basilica of Santa Maria, was expected to draw elite figures from fashion, royalty, and media. Here's where things became awkward.
So if you look in the background, there's a bridge, and what that suggests is that she is near the site where Princess Diana tragically lost her life. Now, let's watch a bit about what Meghan Markle's body language does here. We're going to cover this a couple of times, we'll watch it a couple of times, but I think that it's really significant, so let's just keep watching. So as you can see, she waited until she panned the camera to her feet, she shuffled her feet a little bit and then crossed them. Watch this right here. So you can see very briefly she lifted her left foot and then chose to put her right foot over it, which shows how intentional and planned this was. It shows that she's not just looking out a window, she's giving thought to what she's doing. This is all very intentional. So the question is this intentionally disrespectful to Princess Diana? Well, first let's talk about the significance of her filming her feet in this way. Interestingly, the feet are one of our least consciously controlled parts of our body. So as you could see her trying to shuffle around and figure out what to do, there was a real desire to show herself with her feet crossed, with her feet up. So when we think about symbolically what feet oftentimes represent, oftentimes it's about being grounded. It can actually represent humility, vulnerability.
Meghan has never been closely connected to Valentino's inner circle and has not been a regular presence at his runway shows. While she has worn his designs, like many others, that alone did not place her among his longtime collaborators or confidants.
Now, Associated Newspapers has always denied any wrongdoing, calling the allegations preposterous smears. Now, this is the last of Harry's major court cases against the tabloids. In 2023, he testified and won against the Mirror Group. And last January, he settled against the publishers of The Sun, who apologized and paid him damages. But guys, when Harry is back here in the UK for trial,
industry observers suggest this wasn't simply about paying respects. Critics argue it looked more like an attempt to gain access to high-profile figures such as editors, designers, and power brokers expected to attend. In fashion circles, access matters, and legacy events are not open invitations.
Valentino's work, we're learning today, he passed away at the age of 93. Let me start with showing you the announcement and how we heard about this, Reed. This came through on social media just within the last hour or so. It says, Valentino passed away today at his home in Rome, surrounded by his loved ones. It goes on to say that a funeral will take place in Rome at 11 a.m. in the coming days.
Despite having a past professional link through a former creative director associated with Valentino's brand, reports indicate the fashion establishment declined the outreach this time. The message was clear. This moment was about honoring a legend, not leveraging visibility.
First, we already brought you the news that Spotify is ending its relationship with Harry and Meghan. Reporting indicates that they were paid some $20 million for 12 episodes. And despite this astronomically high rate per episode, Meghan apparently could not find the time to actually conduct interviews herself and would have someone else do it. She would then edit in her voice as if she was the one doing the interview. One of the craziest things I have ever heard. But there are even more details on the Spotify project, which are just too good. Harry apparently reneged on many parts of his deal because he just had too hard of a time coming up with something to actually say. His ideas ranged from a podcast on veterans issues.
According to reports from Radar Online, Meghan Markle was ultimately unable to secure an invitation to Valentino's funeral, despite what sources describe as repeated outreach attempts.
Prince Harry nearly broke down in tears in court today, weeping about Meghan Markle's misery. And he was told to stop arguing back by the judge. Well, Prince Harry was giving evidence in his privacy claim against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday in the High Court today.
The situation quickly became public, and observers say the visible rejection made the story particularly damaging from a perception standpoint. This is why the funeral episode carried real weight. In the world of high fashion, legacy events are tightly controlled, and not every appearance is welcomed. Industry insiders suggest the issue wasn't just disappointment, it was the optics of being left out when access was clearly sought. Meanwhile, as this was unfolding, Prince Harry was in London between January 21st and 22nd, appearing in High Court for his ongoing legal battle against Associated Newspapers. He is pursuing claims related to articles published between 2001 and 2013, long before he ever met Meghan, alleging unlawful information gathering and privacy violations.
The stars of fashion in Hollywood pack a basilica in Rome to remember design icon Valentino. And it went tour Donatella Versace, Tom Ford, Anne Hathaway among those paying their respects at Valentino's funeral today. He died on Monday at the age of 93 at his residence in Rome.
Courtroom coverage indicates the testimony became tense. Rather than sticking strictly to evidence, Harry reportedly clashed with defense counsel, prompting Justice Matthew Nicklin to step in multiple times to keep proceedings on track. At one point, the judge reminded him that his role was to answer questions, not argue the case himself. Observers noted Harry appeared defensive and emotionally strained throughout the session. His responses reportedly drifted into broader grievances, forcing repeated judicial intervention to refocus the testimony. Even when addressed calmly, the tension remained clear. Despite the case having no direct connection to Meghan, Harry referenced her emotional distress during his testimony, saying the press had made her life an absolute misery.
Ludicrous headlines over the weekend suggesting Prince Harry could somehow worm his way back into the fold. It seems like Sussex PR is in overdrive lately. Are you seeing that too, or do you feel that way?
Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable. But I mean, I don't think that he is going to get back in. I mean, I think that there are two reasons. One is I think that William wouldn't allow it. And secondly, the moment he got back to America, he immediately promoted Disney and his trip to Disney World, which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain. So I think it's always the same. He wants his cake and eat it.
Isn't that the truth? All right, so Revenge was released in July of 2022. Since then, based on polling and media coverage, how would you describe the trajectory of Harry and Meghan's reputations professionally and personally? It feels like they've taken quite a bit of a dive.
Legal analysts questioned the relevance, given that the articles in question predated their relationship entirely. Harry also maintained that his personal circle never leaked information to journalists and challenged the legitimacy of certain royal correspondence sources. However, longtime reporters have documented access to royal events for years, making those claims a point of debate among media watchers. In the end, courtroom observers were left asking the same question. Why did a case about historical articles turn into an emotional defense centered on his marriage? That disconnect is what made the testimony stand out, and not in the way his legal team likely hoped.
You're done. This is why the funeral story is so damaging to her. Because here's why this Valentino funeral situation is not just embarrassing for her. It's a career-defining moment, in my opinion, because funerals are sacred territory in elite circles, not just elite circles, in everybody's circle, especially if you have, a close-knit family and you're like, oh yeah, that blah, 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 everybody's very close-knit. But the moment that you see somebody that's not supposed to be there, everybody's like, why are they here? You know what I mean? Everything is handled silently when it comes to funerals, when it comes to elite circles, privately and respectfully, because that's the way people function. If Meghan Markle truly was part of this inner circle, think about it. She wants to be part of it. She thinks she is. She's a wannabe. This is one of two things that would have happened.
Prince Harry has publicly shared deeply personal details for years, stories about his private life, family messages, past mistakes, and personal conflicts. He spoke openly in high-profile interviews, participated in a lengthy Netflix series, and chose to monetize his own experiences for a global audience. That history made his courtroom claims especially complicated, and courtroom observers noted that neither the judge nor the defense appeared persuaded by the contradiction.
Meghan Markle has always wanted to be an A-lister, not adjacent, not inspired by. She wants to be on the inside, but she genuinely believed that marrying into royalty meant that she could simply just inherit elite status and that everybody would just swing the door open for her. Because the highest circles in Hollywood, royalty, fashion, finance, legacy power, it doesn't matter, your HR department, it will operate under one unbreakable rule. What happens on the inside stays on the inside, and everybody's hush-hush. Nobody talks about it, nobody hints about it, nobody has a source close to will say that they know about it.
Public reaction followed a similar pattern. Many viewers questioned how someone who voluntarily released so much personal material could now argue that the media alone was responsible for exploiting his life. That disconnect became a central talking point across commentary and analysis. What also caught attention was Meghan Markle's absence. While Harry was in London facing one of the most intense moments of his legal fight, Meghan remained thousands of miles away in California.
Harry was on the defensive and very bristly and very abrasive. And the judge intervened 3 times to try and calm him down. I mean, the first time, which was the one that you showed there, he was actually quite sympathetic, and he was quite like, look, this is my job. I understand that this is a big moment for you, but you're making a mistake that a lot of people make. Let me just tell you, your job now is just to answer these questions. Let your legal team answer the case. And Harry seemed to kind of go, okay, my lord, yeah, whatever. Then he carried on, then he did it again, and then he did it a third time, and it was really bad the third time. So this was in a question about Natalie Pinkham, who the Mail said that Katie Nicholl had called up Natalie Pinkham to ask her for a comment. She had given a comment, and then Katie had subsequently described her as a source. And Harry was basically saying, look, it's a different use of the term a source. You know, when people say a source, they assume that means some sort of insider who's speaking secretly or privately or what have you. And the judge was like, yeah, look, I'm a media lawyer, mate. I understand what a source is. I understand what you're saying. I understand the difference between a confidential source and someone who's been called up by the journalist and asked for a comment.
Commentators pointed out the timing, noting she did not travel to support him during the hearings, which fueled speculation about where their priorities currently lie. For longtime royal watchers, none of this came as a shock. Royal biographer Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors author Tom Bower has repeatedly said this trajectory was predictable. He has stated publicly that his conclusions were based on interviews with dozens of people who worked with or knew Meghan professionally. According to Bower's analysis, Hollywood success requires one quality above all else: authenticity. He argues that audiences connect when they believe what they are seeing, and when that belief breaks, the brand collapses. In his view, Meghan's public persona feels overly constructed, which modern audiences quickly detect.
The fashion designer Valentino Garavani once said he knows what women want, quote, they want to look beautiful. And he helped some of the most famous women in the world achieve exactly that goal. Valentino, as he was simply known, died today at his home in Rome. He was 93 years old.
Legend in the fashion world has died. We're just getting word. Fashion designer Valentino Garavani passed away today after a life of creating beauty, the age of 93.
Commentators often contrast this with other lifestyle figures who built credibility through long-term work and consistency. Some endured setbacks, criticism, or public scrutiny, yet maintained audience trust because they felt real and unscripted. Bower has said he anticipated professional decline, though even he admitted the pace surprised him. In his words, the downturn happened faster than expected, reinforcing his argument that credibility, once lost, is almost impossible to recover. Prince Harry turning his own legal battle into an emotional defense of his wife is exactly what royal biographer Tom Bower said would happen. He predicted that Harry would center Meghan even in situations where she was not directly involved, and that pattern has now played out in open court. Bower has also been clear about Netflix, and so far, every prediction he made has lined up. He said the deal would eventually fall apart. He said Meghan's lifestyle and cooking content would fail to connect. And he warned that American audiences would grow tired of a constant victim narrative. The numbers didn't help. Meghan's Netflix project reportedly ranked far outside the platform's top-performing content, drawing only a modest audience over several months. Other holiday programming performed similarly, landing deep in the rankings despite heavy promotion. For someone positioned as a global figure, the engagement was widely described as underwhelming.
Yeah, I think professionally they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book. But even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week the signal for her great problem.
Commentators argue Netflix quickly realized the partnership wasn't delivering what executives expected. Despite high budgets, major producers, and full creative control, the content failed to resonate. Critics described the output as overly polished, stiff, and lacking spontaneity, qualities modern audiences usually respond to. This wasn't limited to Netflix. Spotify also ended its relationship with the couple, reinforcing the idea that the brand momentum had stalled. As Tom Bauer has said, the issue isn't effort, it's authenticity. In his view, Meghan performs rather than connects. Bauer has also spoken about public missteps, including moments that appear tone-deaf. During Paris Fashion Week in October 2025, Meghan posted a late-night Instagram video filmed while riding through Paris. The footage showed landmarks, luxury vibes, and a carefree mood, but viewers quickly noticed the proximity to the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the site associated with Princess Diana's fatal accident in 1997. The backlash was immediate. Many felt the post showed poor judgment, especially given Harry's history and the sensitivity surrounding that location. Commentators reported that Prince William was deeply upset, and public reaction echoed that sentiment. Bauer has argued moments like this reflect a deeper issue, what he calls a lack of self-awareness and respect for the institution Meghan married into. Whether fair or not, that perception continues to stick.
Seth Doan looks now at Valentino's impact on fashion.
His last name was Garavani, but just Valentino was enough to signal elegance, glamour, and that Italian style. Celebrities and royals were among his many muses, red carpets his stages, and that scarlet, or was it poppy, was a signature, his seductive Valentino red.
I love beauties, I love making women sensational, glamorous, elegant.
Meanwhile, financial pressure is reportedly mounting. Their Montecito mortgage is substantial, their lifestyle costly, and legal risks remain. If Harry were to lose his case against Associated Newspapers, he could potentially be liable for significant legal costs. The publisher, for its part, has consistently denied wrongdoing and called the allegations unfounded. At the core, critics see a widening gap. Harry has spoken about reconciliation and family. Meghan appears focused on Hollywood visibility and elite access. According to Bauer, those goals don't align, and the final prediction may be the most telling of all. As he once said, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And many observers believe that moment has already arrived. At this point, many observers aren't angry anymore. They're indifferent. The reaction has shifted from outrage to boredom, and that's the most dangerous place any public brand can land. When people stop reacting, the spotlight quietly moves on. If you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. Commentators say Meghan appeared to seek visibility around a high-profile fashion funeral, and when the fashion world declined, the rejection became public. Industry insiders saw the move for what they believed it was and chose not to engage.
Prince Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they have made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry. Why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, it has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable, and everybody's living in absolute misery. And Harry only has himself to blame, because no matter if he wins this trial or not, he's still going to be miserable.
At the same time, Prince Harry was in a London courtroom facing intense scrutiny. Coverage described moments where he appeared emotional and clashed with legal counsel, drawing reminders from the judge to stay on track. For critics, the contrast was stark and uncomfortable. Royal biographer Tom Bauer has argued for years that this exact scenario would unfold. In revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors, he warned that major platforms would walk away, that Hollywood would lose interest, and that public sympathy would eventually fade. Since then, Spotify ended its partnership, Netflix scaled back expectations, and fashion insiders appeared less welcoming. Commentators point to repeated attempts at elite access, some successful, others not, as evidence of a strategy that no longer works. Critics argue the core issue is direction. Harry has spoken publicly about healing, reconciliation, and reconnecting with family in the UK. Meghan, by contrast, appears focused on Hollywood relevance, fashion credibility, and elite cultural spaces. Those ambitions don't naturally align. According to Bauer, that tension was always the fault line. He has said the marriage would face growing strain as public interest cooled and professional opportunities narrowed. Whether one agrees or not, the trajectory he described continues to mirror real-world developments. The Valentino funeral rejection became symbolic, not as a single event, but as part of a broader pattern. For many observers, it reinforced the idea that doors once assumed open are now firmly closed. So here's the real question. Are we watching a public brand fade in real time? And was Tom Bauer right all along about where this road leads? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more updates and breakdowns like this, subscribe, turn on notifications, and make sure you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.